Hi everyone, this is Lee Goldstein, and I'm just doing a quick test of the Philly Fed and the jobless claims numbers. This is an unauthorized job trade because there's no HIRA for it. I'm testing the bonds, and I wanted to see if there was any movement. Philly Fed has been moved. It used to be a 10 a.m. Eastern Time report, used to be traded regularly with a HIRA, but now it's been moved to 8:30, and we're not sure if they've ruined the trade or if it's going to work well with jobless claims. So I'm sure that Jay's going to study it for a while. It's only been a month or two since it was moved. I think it was moved back in December. So I'm going to do a bond style setup using a 3 bracket on ZB. I'm going to use a stop of 6. I'll use 2 targets, 4 and 11 for my 2 positions, and I'll use a stop of 6, I said. And let's see how this trade goes. I'll be back in a few minutes when we get much closer to the trade. Thanks. Okay, so we've got about 50 seconds until the jobless claims Philly Fed report will trigger. As you know, I said before, the Philly Fed report's been moved. This is an unauthorized job trade. One of the fun aspects of JOBB is you can use it to look for your own trades, test them out, see what you think. Keep a journal, very important. Make notes so you remember what happened the previous time. And what I do on my test reports is I usually let my strategy trigger 1 second before the report. I find that that works well, and Jay's system is just as good, I believe. The 57 seconds, 3 seconds before the report's perfectly great as well. Here we go. We've got about 2 seconds. Let's see if there's anything that happens. You could see we've got our tiers are on there, a buy and a sell, and the report's been released. I don't know if it's bullish or bearish yet because I don't want to look away from the screen. Not quite yet. Haven't been filled. I'd give it usually a minute or 2 depending on how the price movement is. And you know, on this report you probably could have tested the yen. The yen also moves generally, and the yen's been actually pretty volatile lately. It's been moving quite a bit. I'm looking to see if there's any results on Philly Fed, and my investing.com isn't showing anything yet. So I'm not sure if it's my investing.com. Usually this report would have been out. So the jobless claims are a little bit higher than they thought. Only by 2,000, that's nothing. So I don't think we're going to get very much movement unless Philly Fed is really radically different. And it's funny, I don't see results on investing.com. So I'm going to sit tight for a few more minutes. This is a test anyway. You could see the jobless claims didn't even get us into a fill. So we're a minute and a half after the trade report's been released. I'd probably cancel this trade. But I still don't see any Philly Fed results, which is pretty weird. But again, this has been a report that's been moved, so it's hard to say how reliable this report is now, and that's why Jay doesn't have a HIRA on it, because we can't trust it yet. And until you can trust a report, you don't really want to trade it with real money, that's for sure. It's easy enough to lose money, that we know. Now, we did get filled. My guess is the report has been released because we're getting some movement. So we're not getting a whole lot of movement. It's pretty slow. Do we want to combine our positions into one? Or are we going to sit and see what happens? We're short 2. I think I'll combine them because there's no action. Don't forget, do not move them on the numbers or you'll wind up changing your number of contracts. It changes the number of contracts sometimes. Might want to bleed off a little bit of risk. See what happens here. It's amazing. I still don't see any Philly Fed. I'm going to look on, see if there's anything doing on Forex Factory. If maybe it's just an investing.com issue. See if Forex Factory has any results for it, while keeping an eye on my trade. And Forex Factory does have a release. It's a little bit bullish. No, it's like almost the same. The numbers are pretty minimal. Not a lot of difference between what was forecast and what we've gotten. So I don't expect that we'll see much movement on this trade. So my gut reaction is to get out of it as soon as possible without losing any money. Bleed it in. It's a shame we could have gotten out before with about $30 profit. Now I'm afraid that we may lose some money. I hope not. Let's give it another minute or two. I can let the videos run because I found a phenomenal piece of software that lets you shrink down a video without destroying its quality. And it also does it really quickly. And I'm going to give a small, make a small video on that software. Because that will be an excellent thing for people to learn about. I think it's called Handbrake, if I remember correctly. And it's freeware. So I can't speed this trade up because it's real time. So we're going to let it run, see what happens. If you're playing it back, you can fast forward, of course. And we'll give it another minute. If I get a profit, I'll try and get out. As it is, I'm going to, if I bleed my stop any closer, it will hit it. I mean, the market will just suck it out, take money from me. So I'm going to leave it where it is for the moment, because I don't want to give the market the money if there's still a chance that we could go short and make a couple of bucks rather than give the market our money. We've got 2 bond positions short, as you know. Philly Fed was unremarkable in its results. Very slow. Still not even on investment.com, and that's a surprise. They usually are the first to get information. So I'm thinking it's because that Philly Fed report was moved and it's just not tracked. People aren't used to tracking it at 8:30 like they used to, or I'm not really sure what the reason is. We'll have to look into it and see, but that's why Jay doesn't have a HIRA anymore on this report. I'm looking at the yen on my TradeStation account, and not a lot of action on the yen either. And we did get stopped out. So what you do is cancel your strategy. What I like to do is right-click, cancel all orders, make sure everything is done. And it would have been a loss of 187.50 had we stayed in this trade. You know, you could have gotten out at 0, which might have been the smart thing to do. Probably should have done that. Why give the market $187? And if we would have gotten out at 0, it never would have filled us at 0. We probably would have lost $60. But that was the proper thing to do. I shouldn't have sat here and let it take my money. But it's just a test, so you don't respond normally to a test because you're not afraid. You don't have any of the fear, any of the psychological issues going on. And that's the other reason sims are kind of not as meaningful as a real trade, obviously. Psychologically, you can be very relaxed during a sim, and in real life, you might not be anywhere near as relaxed because it's real money. So I hope you enjoyed this test. This is a trade that right now it doesn't look exciting enough to take. So it looks like Philly Fed, although the numbers also could determine whether there's movement. Neither the unemployment report was very active, nor was the Philly Fed report was not very meaningful. They were both very close to existing expectations. So when that happens, you don't get movement, or sometimes you get a whipsaw. And that's the worst thing for what we want from our trades. So we want numbers that deviate radically from the report, preferably. That's what we like to see. So we get a good movement. Especially on a breakout trade, you want a boom down or a pop up. And I hope you enjoyed this video. You can reach me at procall33@aol.com with any questions. Feel free. Take care.